Hold up. Are we really about to witness the most shocking move in WNBA history? The Indiana Fever might actually be preparing to trade away Caitlin Clark. And if you think I'm crazy for saying this, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought knew about the Fever's future. Look, I've been covering the WNBA long and not know when something's off. And right now, the vibes in Indianapolis are more suspicious than a referee calling a foul in Angel Reed. The signs are everywhere, and they're starting to paint a picture of that nobody wants to admit. But before we dive into this absolute madness, lem tell you something. Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's the player who single-handedly turned the Indiana Fever from a punchline into must-watched. She's the reason your grandma suddenly knows what a Logo 3 is. She's basketball royalty. And yet, here we are talking about the unthinkable. Here's where things get really interesting. Remember when Stephanie White came back to coach the Fever? Everyone thought it was the perfect match, a championship-winning coach paired with a Lynchinaut. But something's been brewing beneath the surface, and it's uglier than a missed layup in crunch time. Sources close to the team are whispering things that would make your jaw drop. They're saying there's a fundamental distortion about how to use Caitlin. And folks, this isn't just about Pascal X's and O's. This is about power, control, and the future of an entire franchise. Let me break this down for you because this is where it gets juicy. Caitlin Clark has been dealing with injury after injury. This season, quad strain, groin issues, you name it. The girl who never missed a single game in college or her rookie year has suddenly become more fragile than a championship trophy made of glass. She's missed over 10 games already, and we're not even at the All-Star break yet. Now, I'm not saying these injuries aren't real, but isn't it convenient that every time there's tension about her role in defense, she's suddenly on the bench in street clothes? And speaking of tension, oh boy, do we have some tea toss multiple? Reports suggest that Stephanie White wants Caitlin Clark to play more off-ball. Off-ball can imagine telling Michael Jordan to set more screens. It's like asking a Ferrito bee a golf cart. Clark herself has been diplomatic in public, but you can't see it in her body language. When asked about playing alongside another point guard, she literally sighed before swearing. That's not the response of a happy superstar, folks. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. While Caitlin was out with her latest injury, guess what happened? The Indiana Fever won the Commissioner Cup without her. They beat league-leading Minnesota, Lynx 74-59, and they looked incredible doing it. Stephanie White couldn't stop talking about how well the team played together, how they found their defensive identity, how they discovered new connections. It was like she was auditioning the team for life after Caitlin Clark, right in front of our eyes. Now, let me connect some dots that will blow your mind. Remember what happened with Luka Doncic, the Mavericks? First came the whispers about him being difficult. Then anonymous sources saying the team played better without him. Then the sudden trade that shocked everyone. We're seeing the exact same playbooker. Beat writers with access to TheDMR, already planting seeds. Anna recently wrote an entire article, Abutho Caitlin Clark's fans are a dark side-o, the organization, a dark side. This year, the people buying tickets, jerseys, and turning the Fever into appointment viewing, and they're calling them a problem. Let me tell you what's really happening here. The Indiana Fever brass thinks they're smarter than everyone else. They see what Caitlin Clark brings: the attention, the pressure, the expectations, and they're scared. They'd rather be a good team that nobody watches than deal with the spotlight that comes with having a transcendent search. It's the same small market mentality that has plagued franchise for decades. And before you say I'm reaching, let me hit you with some. Caroline Peake, who just happens to Stephanie White's old college coach and close friend, has been all over the media saying the Fever are better without Caitlin Clark. She's quadrupled down on it. You think she's saying that without at least having so many conversations with her good friend Stephanie? Please, these are coincidences. Here's my theory. And buckle up, because this is where it gets real. The Fever aren't trading Caitlin Clark tomorrow, or even this season. They're too smart for that. They know they need to milk the Caitlin Clark cash cow for at least another year or two, but they're already laying the groundwork for her exit. They're building up other players, changing the narrative, and preparing the fan base for life after 22. Think about it. They've been marketing the team more and Caitlinless. They're emphasizing Fever basketball instead of Caitlin Clark and the Fever. They're trying to create an identity that doesn't revolve around one player. And when the time comes, maybe when Sarah Strong or whoever the next big thing is enters the draft, they'll pull the trigger. They'll trade Caitlin for draft picks and cap space, claiming it's best for the team's future. The craziest part, they might even convince the Elves they're doing the right thing. They'll point to that Commissioner's Cup win without her. Anzi, see, we can win without that drama. They'll talk about building a sustainable culture, about team basketball, about all the corporate buzzwords that sound good in a press conference but mean nothing when theses are empty. But here's what really gets me fired up. Caitlin Clark saved this franchise. Before her, the Fever were irrelevant. They were playing in front of crowds that made a library look packed. She brought excitement, energy, and eyeballs to a team that desperate all three, and now they want toked, like she's the problem. It's like blaming the sun for being too bright. You know what's even more insulting? Thiwe. They're handling her injuries. Every update is vague. Every timeline is unclear. No additional damage was found. What does that even mean? It sounds like liaries speak, for we don't want to tell you what's really going on. And don't even get me started on how they've been using these injuries to experiment with lineups that don't feature her. Let's talk about what this means for the league. Caitlin Clark isn't just important to the Fever, she's important to the entire WNBA. She's brought in new fans, increased viewership, and raised the profile of women's basketball to heights we've never seen. Trading her wouldn't just be Fever problem, it would be a league. Imagine the Lakers trading Magic Johnson in his prime because they didn't like dealing with Showtime. That's the level of stupidity we're talking about here. And for all those people saying, oh, you're overreacting, they'd never trade their best player. Let me remind you of something. The sports world is littered with franchises that made exactly that mistake. Teams that chose comfort over greatness, that picked politics over performance. The Fever wouldn't be the first, and they certainly won't be the last. Here's what really breaks my heart about all this. Caitlin Clark wants to be in Indiana. She's said it multiple times. She fell in love with the fans, the city, the organization. But lately, she's been changing her tune. Instead of talking about spending her entire career there, she's now saying the next few years. That's not a slip of the tongue. Folks, that's a superstar who sees the writing on the wall. The question now becomes, where would she go? Every team in that league would want her. Obviously, the Liberty would pair her with Sabrina Ionescu for the most must-watch backcourt in basketball history. The Ace would add her to A.A. Wilson and create a super team that would dominate for years. The Storm would love to have her lead their next generation. The possibilities are endless, and every single one of them is more exciting than watching the Fever. Self-destruct. Bothers the thing, and this is important. I don't want to see Caitlin Clark leave Indiana. The fans there deserve to watch her career unfold. They've been loyal through the lean years, and they should reap the rewards of having aged talent. But if the organization continues down this path, if they keep treating her like a problem instead of a solution, then maybe a change of scenery is exactly what she needs to want. To know what's really funny about all this? The Fever building something sustainable, but what they're really doing is building a house of cards. Sure, they might win some games without Caitlin. They might even make the playoffs. But when she's gone, when the spotlight moves elsewhere, when the casual fans stop watching, they'll realize what they've lost, and by then it'll be too late. The irony is almost poetic. The Fever spent years being terrible, years being ignored, years being the lead surface. Then they get a player who changes everything, who makes them irrelevant, who puts them on the map. And their response to complain about the attention, to bristle at the expectations, to act like success is a burden. It's like winning the lottery and complaining about having to go to the bank. Look, I get it. Managing a superstar isn't easy. The pressure is real, the scrutiny is intense, and no variant is built for that spotlight. But that's exactly why you hire experienced coaches and executives to handle these situations. Instead, the Fever seem to be buckling under thwart of their own success. And let's not forget about the fans in all this, the real Fever fans, the ones who've had been there through thick and thin. They deserve better. They deserve an organization that embraces greatness, not one that runs from it. They deserve to watch Caitlin Clark in a Fever jersey for the next decade, not wonder when their shoe is going to drop. The bottom line is this. The Indiana Fever are at crossroads. They can either embrace their superstar, build around her, and create something special, or they can continue down this path of passive-aggressive management, mixed messages, and preparation. For a future with her, the choice seems obvious to everyone, except the people making the decisions. So, what happens next? Keep your eyes peeled for more strategic leaks, more articles about how difficult Caitlin's fans are, more emphasis on team success without her. Watch for vague injury updates that keep her on longer than necessary. Pay attention to how she's used when she does play. Is she the focal point, or is she being marginalized? These are signs that will tell us where this story is heading. And remember this, in the NBA we've seen this movie before. Superstar clashes with management. Anonymous, sources start talking, trade happens. Everyone acts shocked. The one bite, be a different league, but humanity is the same. Egos, power struggles, and short-sighted decision-making don't discriminate based in gender. But here's my message to the Indiana Fever organization. Wake up. Ya have something special in Caitlin Clark. You have a player who can define your franchise for a generation. Don't let ego fear or small-minded thinking rob you of that opportunity. Because if you actually trade Caitlin Clark, you won't just be losing a player, you'll be losing your soul. And to all you watching, remember where you heard it first. When this trade eventually happens, and mark my words, if things didn't change, it will happen. Don't act suppressed. The signs are all there. The writing is on the wall. The only question is whether the Fever will commit their senses before it's too late. Like this video if you think the Fever will be absolutely insane to trade Caitlin Clark. Comment below with where you think she should go if they're foolish enough to let her leave, and subscribe to this channel because we're going to be all over this story as it develops. This is just the beginning, folks. The drama is only going to intensify from here.